So hello guys and welcome again to the channel. So today we have really received a whole bunch of spoilers. That's this maybe by accident or someone from the inside has decided to share this one to the over the internets. And so we're just going to discuss the legitimacy, or let's just say the power level of these cards on this second batch of Phyrexian All V1 card spoilers discussion. So I will still divide this, since there was a lot of cards that was shown on that batch of photos that was leaked online. So we're just going to subdivide this part 2 into 3 more parts, maybe, or 2. Let's say let's have part 3 and part 4 for that, so we can basically detail those cards that was revealed. But we're still happy that we're going to have some of these upcoming from the upcoming sets that we're going to enjoy, as to what we can prepare on in our probably in our decks, in our other metagame introduction for standard and the other older formats. So let us begin. We start with this one. It's Enigma Goliath. It is a 4 to cast 4/4 that is black and red and 2 generic or any mana. Phyrexian Beast. This is a rare card. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary creature card with lesser mana value and put it into the battlefield. Then put a rest to the bottom of the library in random order. So basically, this goes to mill with another non-legendary creature card that can replace this beast. But this one is legendary, basically. If ever it gets killed or does remove from not killed, no, or just other creatures that you may have sacrificed, to reveal those cards that has non-legendary and with lesser mana value. The good thing here is that you may only have this other creature that is probably have some dice trigger effects that you can also get to benefit from, aside from getting a replacement non-legendary creature with lesser value from the top card of your library and put it in the battlefield. So this basically is a good card. By power level, this can put out pretty well and rock those sacrifice decks, since there is already an existing archetype for that one in standard. Maybe it will go big in the late game, be having other creatures with higher mana value, so that we can basically get to benefit from Ketek's end of step trigger ability. Next, we have Vencer, Corpse Puppet. So we now have Vencer at the end of the turn here, as now a sort of a zombie wizard after being defeated by the Phyrexians in the previous story. So it has now become a 2/2 cast 1/3 legendary creature, Phyrexian zombie wizard, and with lifelink and toxic 1. So this toxic, which we will just discuss probably in a future video, is one of the new abilities that will be introduced in Phyrexian OVB1. And it has this ability that whenever you proliferate, that means the proliferate ability is back again in standard. That is also another good news, but probably not for non-infect fans. So we have these two abilities that you can choose whenever you proliferate. If you don't control a creature named Hollow Sentinel, you create the Hollow Sentinel, which is a legendary 3/3 colorless Sentinel Phyrexian Goblin artifact creature token. And you may also have this ability that target artifact creature you control gains flying and lifelink until end of turn. So basically, the trigger of having to proliferate depends on what your deck build would be. But the good thing here is that if you ever to be able to play or build a deck around with that strategy, you will really be able to benefit from Vencer's ability to have these triggers whenever you do the proliferation or proliferate. So this is also a good thing because it is still cheap to cast with just blue and black, and also not easy to kill given its 3 toughness, and also provides you lifelink with just a bunch of life that you can gain and also benefit you in the late game. So next, we have the Mycosynth Gardens. It is not a land with a subtype of spear. Spear with top colorless or pay 1 generic mana, top Add 1 mana of any color. That's also a good mana fix. And other ability is that to pay X. And Magazine Gardens becomes a copy of target non-token artifact you control with mana value X. A good thing if it becomes that copy, I'm not really sure what other relevant non-token artifacts you can copy in standard, but since you can also have those, for example, let's say Portal to Phyrexia. I'm not sure what other sides, but I think that with the new cards and some artifacts from Brothers War, you can also get to choose what those good cards to have, and becomes a copy of this land. So I think having this one to two copies in the main deck of those kinds of deck builds will also benefit you in your late game plan for that kind of deck. Next we have Argento MasterCard. So with the light colored here, it's 5 to cast for artifacts. Colorless or generic mana to use. It has 5/5 first strike, protection for multicolored, also a very good ability. But you may have this drawback. It's in which at the beginning of upkeep sacrifice MasterCard unless you discard a card. So when you discard a card this way, it has also as a benefit because it will destroy target non-permanent opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of that discarded card. So it's very nice if you have ways to have, for example, the old Squee, to have this card to feed the MasterCard. Then you also have the bonus to destroy target non-permanent. And the good thing in a regular, probably standard basis of this build, you may go with the late game of maybe an artifact deck, since you have basically any hard cards left in your hand to use as a fodder for MasterCard's ability. But the good thing here is that how you would discard the card would also benefit of having this triggered ability of destroying a non-land permanent with mana value less than or equal to that discarded card. So that's how the way you would play it out, which you will go with having to get a bonus advantage of that one. And so how you would build out of this card would still depend on that one. Okay, so next one we have Dragon Wing Glider with this ability of a 5 red that is 3 colorless and 2 red mana. This is an artifact equipment with this ability that for Merodians, like it's like I'm thinking of it as the Merodian people's version of a germ token, because this ability that you will, instead having a 0/0 germ, you will get a 2/2 red rebel creature token and then attach this equipment to it. So it becomes a 4/4 because of the equipped creature gets +2/+2 flying in haste, and you may have also the transfer this equipped with the same mana cost, with the same with 3 and the double red. It's looking to be an average, but it's quite interesting when you have some blink effects to have this one, wherein you would just also blink the equipment back, and then when it enters the battlefield again, you will create again those 2/2 the rebel token and then attach this Dragon Wing Glider to it. So basically it becomes a 4/4 flying haste. It looks like to be that of the previous other dragon decks such as Glory Bringer, but at the same time it gets very interesting because of the benefit if you have some blink shenanigans to gain advantage of it. And also in the late game, you can also just equip your lone attacker into this one to have this one 2/2 and flying in haste. Next, we have the Eternal Wanderer. So she is now back, as probably she has been eternalized or completed in this sense. She's now become a rare with 4 generic mana in white with 5 starting loyalty. So it has the ability that no more than 1 creature can attack Eternal Wanderer in each combat. And so the Eternal Wanderer has these abilities with it: +1, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature, then return that card at the beginning of the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of your player's next end step. So it now has this ability to blink out, unlike before that she should be blinking in for the first time you can cast, where what I say is that she has flash, kind of the flashy effect before. So she has now this ability to just blink out up to 1 target artifact or creature and return it to the battlefield at the beginning of the player's next end step. And then his ability to +0, you will create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with double strike. That's a good upgrade also. And then -4 for each player, choose a creature that player controls, and then each player sacrifices all creatures they don't control not chosen this way. In a good curve, she might fit well in a blue-white control deck, maybe because of her ability that can churn out a lot of tokens and also have those shenanigans. For example, she can reset your Reckoner Blockbuster with her ability over +1. But I think of it as more of just churning out creatures, and also if the opponent's board has developed in a way that you have a lot of creatures that has probably gone out of hand, you will just use Wonder's -4 to just get him out or her out up to the one creature that they can choose while the rest are being sacrificed. So that will also depend on how you will build around. But sadly, she was demoted to this just ability. But still, I think her abilities are still very useful, if not being adjusted to how suited long-term blue-white control or white control-based decks would look like. So next, we have Miglos, the Mace Crusher. So this ability of a red-green, 1 generic mana, red and green, legendary creature, Phyrexian Beast. This is a 4/4. It enters the battlefield with 5 oil counters. So what is interesting of these oil counters now is now being introduced in Phyrexia. All will be 1. So this ability that pay 1 of any mana, remove oil counter from Miglos, it gains Vigilance and Menace. Remove the 2, you will just pay 2 and remove 2 of those counters. It will get +2/+2 on the end of turn. And pay 3 to remove 3 oil counters, destroy target artifact or enchantment. This is very cool ability for a Phyrexian Beast, but it's I think that's natural to see it as a Phyrexian Beast, but it's not artifact creature in this step. But the good thing it has its ability to turn out to remove any artifact or creatures that can be destroyed, and also as a good way to become a blocker with this ability for your extra oil counters that you can use to have this one gain Vigilance and Menace, and also become pump if needed for any alpha strike. So average cost is still good trade-off for any red-green aggro deck in standard or in other older formats. Next, we have Zenith Chronicler. We are now at our 9th slide, number 15. Zenith Chronicler is a 2/2 cast 3/1 artifact creature Phyrexian construct. Whenever a player casts their first multicolored spell its turn, each other player draws a card. So maybe it's going to be more for multiplayer kind of setup. Since if you are against a multi-color deck, for example, let's say you have a 5-color Legends from Standard that is we'll discuss in another video. That is one of the archetypes now in Bro Standard. You can have this one as a good way to benefit from their multicolored spells, since you will just draw a card for their first multicolored spell that they cast each turn. That's probably, if they card up well, you can just basically draw a card during their second turn if you are playing first, and so on and so forth, unless this one gets answered or gets killed in combat. So average, this is just specific for an multicolored spell deck for that certain scenario. Okay, next. We have a narrated Rock Priest. This is a 1/2 casting that is a 1/2 or a 1/3 for the power and toughness. It is a Phyrexian Druid, and it's toxic 1. And this toxic 1 is explained here that player deals combat damage by this creature, also gets a poison counter, so that means 1 counter for toxic 1. And then whenever a player you control becomes the target of a spell, target opponent gets a poison counter. So this is a way, as I've read, this can be pretty much abused by, they said, by 2 spell kites. If you are familiar with the spell kite, you can just read it up. Its ability, if you can change the target to that of spell kite, and then change another target to that spell kite number 2, you can just basically go off and kill your opponent with the venerated Rat Priest poison counter triggers. So I'm not really sure if how that would really look in actual, but that's quite the, let's say, the Christmas land scenario on how you would get the benefit on this card for that kind of setup. But still, this is good on a infect deck that will be expected now with the Phyrexia 1. All will be 1 standard format with this card included in this build. So next up, we have the seedcore. This is another spear kind of a subtype of a land. It has its ability that pay tap, add colorless, tap, add 1 mana of any color, spend only this mana to cast Phyrexian creature spells. So this one would go with probably not a tribal Phyrexian deck, but we consider this one as a Phyrexian. Let's say for this one, we have a Phyrexian Druid. I'm pretty sure that land would help to cast this one for green mana on your first turn. So let us check invincibility. It has the ability of corrupted. So not only fixing your mana color for your Phyrexian spells, but also have this ability to tap target one creature gets +2/+1 at the limit turn. It's like its ability as opposite of that of Pendelhaven, but this is only can be activated if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. So the seed core is basically your main non-basic land to fix in an infect deck that will be expected now in standard and maybe in Pioneer, if the support for that kind of deck archetype will be fulfilled now that the Phyrexian OB1 will be released in these 2 formats. Okay, next one. Okay, that's 3 more to go. We have Ovika, Enigma Goliath. That is 5 generic mana with blue and red, 6/6 for flying. That is also a Phyrexian Nightmare and a legendary creature per se. It has its ability that as a ward. If it's a ward, you may pay 3 and pay 3 life. That's quite heavy cost to have this one killed by a spot removal. So whenever you cast a creature spell, you will create X11 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens. So where X is the mana value of the spell, and they gain haste until end of turn. This is quite an interesting build now for the EZ spells deck that I think would be really going with the late game. Now that they have Ovika as probably their star card or their players, their star player in sort of on the build. So it would look like to be, let's say, an EZ version of artifacts, since it means you cast any non-creature spell. So imagine if you're going to curve out from Ovika and then you add tap into Portal to Phyrexian, that's 9. You will create 9 1/1 red Phyrexian tokens with haste. So after killing off your opponent's creatures with a ETB effect of the portal, you will have those 9 1/1 tokens swarm up your opponent's life total. That we would probably take 9 damage up to this time. Plus with Ovika's 6, that is 15. That's basically winning you out of nowhere out of this late game card. So I think this would be very useful in those types of decks, and also maybe for Jeskai and the Grixis kind of deck builds that will have Ovika as one of their creature lineup win conditions. Okay, next we have the reprints. This is one of the happy part of my spoilers that I saw earlier, because of the reprints of these lands back in Scars of Mirrodin. So these are the version of a check lands that enters the battlefield unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. So this is not a good mana fix for standard, I think, and also for Pioneer. You have Copperline Gorge and also the Black-Red Cliffs, which will be added to my collection now for the Black-Red lands. And probably with this reprint, we would also expect those original market value of those original prints would go lower in those setup. So we will expect this cycle for the 5 allied scholars. That is for blue-white, green-white, and also for what is the other one? The red-green and black-red. No? Green-white, blue-white, and blue-black. That is the allied cycle reprints from Scars of Mirrodin. Okay, and last but not the least, I think this one is the last for this batch. We have Tranbreaker of Silence. So this is another reprint, or probably a newest version of Thran, since we all know Thran has become a very legit creature back in its day in the Scars of Mirrodin and also in Mirrodin Besiege. I think he was reprinted in Mirrodin Besiege as a regenerator. But this one, I think he got bigger with this one because he became a 5/5. Unlike before that, it was a 4/4 that also can be countered. But this one, its ability is somewhat nerfed to that of can be targeted only by non-green spells your opponents control and abilities from non-green sources your opponents control. And the bonus is that as long as it's your turn, Thran has indestructible. So basically, it becomes a 5/5 trample, indestructible, and can be countered in the setup. Mono green would be really helpful to have this one in their lineup, and also red green aggro could be also useful to have this. And at the same time, it is also a 5/5 that would basically go with 5 to be having a more legit attacker, and at the same time being not able to die during your turn, as long as it is in combat only during your turn. It will just basically just trample out your opponent's creatures, as long as they are not going up between 5 and probably 6. I guess that's the wrap up for this batch. More one card spoilers on part 3. We'll have another separate videos one. I do hope you'll check all those cards that you're going to get familiar with, and also you may have chosen already what cards that you're going to pre-order or buy or open up from those boosters in this upcoming set. So guess that's about it for this video. Stay tuned for parties. We have another batch of Phyrexian All-One card spoilers discussion in our channel. Thank you for watching, guys, and until the next time.